Thursday, October the 14th, 2021, and once again I'm back down in Kent, the furthest reaches of, here at Margate, having just got the javelin down. It's about 1:15, and I'm about to undertake the approximately 10 miles from here to Ramsgate, doing this walk, Saturday Walkers Club Walk 101, doing it in a clockwise direction so that hopefully I can catch the Pavilion pub at the end. It's quite a sight apparently. So bit of a grey day, no rain forecast though, overcast for the most part. So as I say, let's press on. This is a walk I've done previously 11 years ago when I first started filming these walks, and back then it was in 2 parts of 10 minutes, so hopefully today we'll get a complete version. So here we go, straight out onto the coast path. So here we are, Marine Terrace, and the first thing I see obviously is wind farms. Don't recall them being here 11 years back, but I could be wrong. Passing the old clock tower. Very different walk for me this week with all this noise, urbanisation. Looking back whence I've come across the sweep of the bay here, and as you can see, tide is out, so you could do the lower version of this currently, walking along the beach mainly. I'm on the upper version of the walk, and no matter how they try with the Turner Museum etc, this place has still got a rough edge to it. Levelling up, yeah, I wonder. Here is the Turner Museum. Next to the tourist office. Information panel here about Anthony Gormley's work, which is out there on the jetty. And it's the work known as Another Time. And as you can see, it's Turner Way here where I'm stood. Start of the White Cliffs, with the museum just behind me. So as you can see, I'm on the Viking Coastal Trail, which certainly wasn't here previously, or certainly wasn't called that. To the rear of the old Winter Gardens, the old nightclub stroke theatre, now covered in graffiti and in disrepair. Great one there of David Attenborough, and messages about industrial pollution. Very appropriate as we approach the COP meeting in November, COP 26. So although I said I was going to do the higher route, looks like I'm actually on the lower one at the minute. Not to worry. Interesting access there up to the town. Just looking out across Walpole Rocks here on the map. Passing the Lido here at Palm Bay. Well, in fact it's Walpole Bay. Okay, I've come up from the lower level now. Didn't fancy the trudge across that sand there. As the text mentions, there's a good spread of grass between the cliff top walk here and the road. Albeit the text is written with a start in Ramsgate. So I'm not referring to that much. Just referring to the GPX trail as needed. Pretty firm walking underfoot thus far. So the old joints are going to suffer, I feel. So I'm now stood on Foreness Point on the map. With a view back whence I've come. So around 2¼ miles or so from Margate now, and it's starting to get a bit wilder and more peaceful. Interesting, I'm not actually sure what that is. Don't think it's a knot. Anyway, sure someone will let me know. Decent spread of sand there. And those rocks are long-nosed spit, if I recall from the map. Looks like an area of wildflower meadow is being maintained here. And clearly I won't have much to moan about today with regards to verges, because there aren't too many, and what there are wild, thankfully. Information panel here about the wildlife of Foreness Point, which you can Google if you're interested. Get yellow rattle, kidney vetch, pyramidal orchid, common rest harrow. Plenty of bees obviously to go with it. Skylarks, I can't hear any of them today. Plenty of sparrows in the background though. Now up to Botany Bay, which isn't that far off halfway, if I recall. I think Kingsgate is the halfway marker. This is the wonderful sand at Botany Bay. Lifeguard's hut. Chalk erosion going on. Passing the Botany Bay pub restaurant, which certainly from memory seems to have been refurbished recently. An old tower of some description here next to the golf course. Passing the Captain Digby, which has a decent vista overlooking what I believe to be his Kingsgate Castle. It's getting a bit greyer now, wind's picking up. Wonderful view there of the door, like Durdle door, what do you call it, a stack. So there you go, it is Kingsgate Castle, built in 1760. Small section of road walking now. Okay, so this is certainly new. Get all the information you need on your smartphone. North Foreland Lighthouse up there. Our onward journey's across through this car park now on the left, which is now Joss Bay, just on the outskirts of Broadstairs. So we leave the Viking Coastal Trail, NCN 15, just past Broadstairs sewerage pumping facility, and we continue along Cliff Promenade. So the Viking Coastal Trail goes up towards the lighthouse. We take this route ahead here, which funnily enough is still the Viking Coastal Trail. It's rather confusing. Anyway, just walking away from North Foreland, a little bit of urban road walking now, and another site which is okay with me. It's urban, so this is a sort of development that should be happening. Not green belt. Following this flight of steps down to the beach on the outskirts of Broadstairs, and those steps bring you out onto another very sandy beach. Interestingly located Bay Inspector's office. That's a relic of World War II. Just passing Stone Bay now, and you can see why it's so called, with views back whence I've come. Just approaching Bleak House, and at this point I shall use this wind shelter to break for lunch, because it's 3:15, just over 5 mile in, halfway. 3:15, lunch has been had. This is Bleak House, as mentioned in the Dickens novel. So there you have it. So there you go. Another bit of information. So here we are in Broadstairs, which is a very pleasant little resort. Often reminds me of Cromer, where I used to frequent. It's got the same sort of Victoriana feel about it, with this tiny little cinema. Certainly one thing I've noticed today is that there's a lot more people about on a midweek day than there was when I recorded this back in the day, 11 years ago. This is the very pleasant bay, Viking Bay at Broadstairs. Restaurant there at the end of the pier. And obviously Bleak House is under refurb. Just crossed over Louisa Bridge here, built in 1850. A reflection of when the resort started to develop. Information panel here about Broadstairs coastline. Apparently it's got 7 lovely bays. This one is Dumpton. Not particularly glorious name, but there you go. Further views of Dumpton. Now walking through Ramsgate Memorial Park. Now entering Ramsgate, fringes of it. And according to the OS map, I'm now on the Thanet coast path, although it's probably been renamed since the map was last updated. Interesting feature here. No information panel to tell me what it is. Well, according to a local, it's part of Winterstoke Gardens. That's about as much as she could tell me. Well, there you go. Seems like it might be the sun shelter. Anyway, one to Google if you're interested. So here we have Ramsgate with the rest of Kent down in the background there. And I believe that's the section that goes down to Dungeness, etc. It's getting pretty breezy now. Might get some interference. Bust here commemorating Pugin, who was one of the country's great architects apparently. In front of the Granville Hotel, which is probably significant. Another piece of work from the Turner Museum, this one called Beacons. Colours representing nautical flags apparently, and they extend a welcome across Ramsgate Sands. So we're walking down Wellington Crescent, Regency houses. Over there. And over there is Wetherspoon's Royal Victoria Pavilion. Restoration of a Grade 2 listed building apparently. So stood outside the Royal Pavilion. It's about 4:10. Well, in fact it is 4:10. Number of eateries down here. And this obelisk in front of these old telephone boxes. Looking out across the harbour here at Ramsgate. The pavilion was only placing people in certain areas, so I decided not to stop in there. Wouldn't let you sit outside or upstairs unless you use the app, so didn't bother with it. Looking back to the Royal Pavilion, whence I've come, and the marina once again. I'm up on West Cliff now. Information panel here about some of the characters that lived in West Cliff, one of whom was Lord Liverpool, former Prime Minister. Well, the town now has a Waitrose, so definitely on the up. So coming towards the end of the walk, and it's been pretty urban and mundane prior to leaving the coast, or since leaving the coast. But I'm now in a park where this cafe can be found for those that need a bit of late refreshment. Sort of stuff they do is on the board there. Toilets as well. Looks like a relatively new building. Still works going on around about as well. And there's some information about the cafe, when it's open, etc. Okay, it's around 5 o'clock, just in time for the 1707, and that was a trip down memory lane. from what I can remember of it, which isn't a great deal to be honest. In those 11 years, obviously there's been quite a bit of refurbishment of the major ports there, Margate and Ramsgate, and we've had a whole heap of stuff going on, problems with immigration, etc., in that ensuing decade. So yeah, a different walk for me today, a decent one, good to get the old sea air in the lungs, charge them up a bit. Now I'll lose all that charge on the high-speed train back, but not to worry. So decent 10 miles, around about 3 hours 40. I don't know if I'll be around in the next decade to do it again, but do recommend Broadstairs, lovely little place. So until the next time, that's Free Walk 101 completed once again, and now in one part. So take care.